everybody. Welcome to Live. And may the 4th be with you. So welcome to our live today. Hope we're all having fun on May the 4th. It's always a good day. I'm not sure who's out there just yet. I have a few people. I'm going to get my comments up over here so I can see what everybody has to say. You'll have to go back after the video's over and watch it from the top, because I added a little bit of a musical interlude today. Here we go. Get this up here. And let's see if we can find ourselves over here. Let's see. Come on now. iPad, behave yourself. There we go. And we're up there. All right. So I've got my comments up, maybe. Let's turn that down. We don't need double talk. Oh, my goodness. There we go. Now we're down. All right, there we go. Hello, everyone. Sorry about all this monkeying around. But today we are talking about Artistic Digitizer and turning text or lettering into applique. So what I'm going to be doing is showing you in the software how you create it, because I know you can easily stitch it out. I know everybody knows how to do that. I can talk a little bit about that when we get to that part of it. So let me see where everybody's from, and hopefully you're enjoying. Oh, hi, Danielle. You're enjoying May 4th today. So as I said, make sure you go to the top. I did some silly stuff today. Hopefully it worked out. You never know. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear a few things out of the way here, and hopefully everybody can hear me okay. And I'll put our software up and we'll get started. All right, here we go. Let's see here. Go to the software page and open the software. Here we go. All right, so what we're talking about is, I'm going to go back to my home page here, is creating, and I have some created. I'm going to go back and show you how to turn your applique or your letters into applique. So here, what I did is with this first S, I made that an applique. Here I made a fancy applique. And then down here, I used just a little applique stitch for this one. And I'll show you, this is a downloaded font that I brought in. So the other two are actually the fonts that are built into the software, and this one is a downloadable one. So I'm going to show you how you create that. And you can use almost any font, but I always suggest you use a somewhat chunky font. It's a little bit easier. This one down here is not a chunky font, so I had to increase it a little bit, and this isn't very wide. Let me measure this right here. This little part is only about a 1/2 inch or so. So in this part, I could make that a little wider, but I'll show you how to do that. So let's get a new page and we can get started. Here we go. I'm going to move my little extra window out of the way. And of course, you can work in any of the hoops that you want to work in. You can change your hoop right down here on this corner, or you can come up under your machine up here and you can change right there. And of course, you can always change your brand or even your model. All right, so you have those options there. So we'll stay with this hoop. That's fine with me. Now, if you're new and you want to keep your work page looking like this, when you first start out, put your favorite hoop right here. So every time you open, it'll be right here. And then when you go to this part of it, you can remove your grid and then go to View and then Save Current Workspace as Default. And right here is where you can close your grid. All right, so if you like a nice clean workspace, that's what I like. Because I demo, it just makes it a little bit easier. All right, so let's go get a font. I'm going to come down here to my text tab. And our junior owners, I think, can do this as well. Anywhere, you can see my cursor's in the center. Anywhere I click is where my lettering will start, even outside the hoop if I want it to be outside the hoop. But we'll put it right there. Use your drop down, and I'm going to actually just use the scroll bar and bring it up near the top instead of trying other things. Let me just move this over so you'll be able to see when I start typing. So right here, we have a nice font. This one is XPG 012. And so right in here, I'm going to type the word so, like that. And then actually, I'm going to use my arrow key and go back because I do want to make the S a capital. Then I'm going to click select to turn off my tool. Anytime you have something down here turned on, go up here to select so your tool is turned off. And then I'm just going to use the corner handles, maybe, and there we go, and make this a little bit larger. And you can make it as large as you want. Now, every font will be a little bit different. Some of them will convert to applique very easily. Some of them you have to work with. This is one of the ones we're going to have to play around with a little bit, and I'll show you why. When I select this, I don't need this extra outline, so I'm going to delete that. Sometimes, depending on how you have your software set, it comes up with outlines around things or not, and I like to have the outlines around there. And if you have comments as we go along, please post them. I'll try to keep up on that and answer them as we go. I'm going to actually move my iPad to a better spot so I can see what's happening because I can't really see where it was. There we go. All right. Maybe. There we go. All right. So here we go. So here I have my letters. I have them selected, and I can come right over here to properties. And if your properties aren't showing, right click up in the big gray spot and you'll find them. And right here under fill, that little guy, under fill, I'll see applique. So I'll select applique. But what it's doing, because of the way this letter is set up, it's putting the applique, and I'm going to scroll in so you can see it. It's putting the applique on this part of my letter. And that's not what I want. I don't want the applique there. So let me undo that. Now, some of your fonts will applique over just like that. This has an inside-outside type thing, so it's not going to fill this empty space. This is the empty space. It's thinking this is the space in here is the empty space in this one. So to do this, I'm going to right-click and then hit break apart. And then I'm going to right-click again, and I'm going to go to shaping. Wait a minute, is that what I wanted to do? I know what I want to right-click, not shaping yet. I want to go convert fill to center line. There we go. Now, and this is a little messy. It's okay. We're all right with that. So now these are actually, when we look over here, these are outlines now. So the outline will be used to fill this in. Now the W is one of those ones we're going to have to work with because when I select my S, let me go out, and I go to fill, and I select applique, you can see it filled in as applique. And I'm going to delete the outline part because I don't need that outline. What I want to do is do fix satin over here, and it will give me the outline that I need. Do you see how easy that was? Now your E might be a little bit, it still has the shapes in here. This may work just beautifully. Go to your fill, go to applique, delete that inner one, and select fix satin. And there you go. See how that cleaned itself up? Now this is part of the letter right there, that little funky part. And then the W, when I go over here, if I went to applique, it doesn't do any applique. And the reason for that is when I really looked at this later, these parts are not connected. So it will not do applique. So I'm going to undo this. There we go. And then I'm going to turn this into a running stitch by selecting over here. It's a satin serial, but it'll be easier to work with this running stitch. So now you can see this is an extra piece. If I click off of here and let me do break apart so I can get to the individual parts. If I take this part away, I don't need it. I can take this part away, I don't need it. And then when I click on this, I can see this connects here and here. And then over here, this one connects there. And then this long one connects there as well. So what I need to do, first off, is I need to delete this bottom part. So I'm going to select my edit nodes. I'm going to select that node and delete it. And then I'm going to take my whole piece because I need to bring it all together as one. I'm going to select all of it, go back up to select all of it, right click and combine. Once you combine, you go back to your edit nodes, and those parts where I thought they needed to join, I'm going to select them, right click, and right here it says join nodes. That's going to join that part. I don't know if this one, sometimes this one needs it. Let's see. You'll know when you right click and you see join nodes that it needs to be joined. And now it's going to be one. This one here, I don't think there's no extra nodes there, so it doesn't need to join. Now I can come up here, select it, go to my fill, select applique. I'm going to delete this outline so I don't have a double, and I'm going to do fix satin on there. So this is a tricky one. That's why I wanted to show you this part of it, because you're not always going to have letters that work out beautifully, and to be able to work with them, you sort of need to kind of work, play around a little bit with the software to get this all taken together. And I did break these apart to start with so that I could do get the individual pieces. I had to turn them from objects into outlines and then work from there. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Now what happens is the software is wonderful. We're going to go to slow redraw. In the software, hopefully, this has happened today a few times. I'm not sure if something, I had an update on my software, so I don't know, on my computer, so I don't know if something's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a hard close here and put it back up. Let's see, let's launch it again. There we go. All right, so in slow redraw, it would show you the different layers that it has. And I will take it over to that. Pretty much what's going to happen is let's see, we'll try it one more time. I'm just not sure if it's going to do slow redraw today. Let's see. No. And I'm not sure why. I'm going to have to give Costas a little email to figure out what's happening with that. I'm not really sure what's going on. So we'll open that back up. All right, so we did our sew. And then the much one here, this is a different one. So let's go to create new. And I'm going to go to my lettering for text. What's fun is discovering different texts in your text tool that would look good as a monogram, as a applique. All right, so up here, remember I said about using something kind of chunky? Here's a chunky font there. And as you go down your list, there's some chunky fonts down here as well. Different kind of shaping in these. Same thing here. This is a kind of a chunky font. So you can play around with things like this. Would be a little more difficult to work with. Not impossible, but you can work with them. So I'm going to go back up to that top one because this is one of my favorite ones to use. And it's XPG013. And I'm going to select it. And then right here, I'm going to type capital M-U-C-H. Remember, if you make a mistake, you can use your arrow key to go back through and adjust just like you would if you were typing in a document or anything like that. Okay. All right. So we've got that. Let's select it. Let's make it large like this. There we go. I don't need that outline. I'm going to delete it. Let's see how this one goes. I can hit applique right here, and right away this goes to applique. You can see that it's the fabric in here. There's the applique stitch. I have a choice over here. I can do a zigzag, which looks like that, and then I can adjust that by going to outline. I can use the E stitch, which when I go to outline is the applique stitch, or I can use satin. Now on this one, what I did is I used the satin, and then I'm going to open the other design so you can see what I did. So I'll scroll in. I used the satin, which is my black part, And then I added a decorative on top, and let me show you how I did that. When you have your piece like this, and I'll just do it on the M, we want to break it apart. So we're going to go here, break apart. There we go. And there, so I just have the M, and I'm going to come up to my auto border, which is convert auto border, and I want it to outside, and I want it to remove holes. I think that's it, because I don't want it to go inside. Let's see what happens. It's going to be to the outside. It's going to make, there it is. There's my nice outside outline. Let's change the color of that to this nice bright yellow color. And then in properties, we can go to our stitches and we can pick different stitches. So I made a copy of our outline is basically what I did. And then you can set this, if you want it more inside, you can offset it right here in your properties, outside, or with a negative number, go down inside. You can change your outline width right up here. Maybe I want it really wide. I'm going to put in 4.0 mm. Remember, you can mix and match your millimeters. The length of your stitch, we can change that as well. Sometimes if you change your length, change your width at the same time, you get a better look at your stitch. So there we go with that. Not so hard, right? How's everybody doing out there? Hopefully we're still out there. Give me a little thumbs up if you're still there to make sure I haven't lost you. Sometimes that happens. All right, everybody's pretty quiet. Are we still have people out there? Oh, there's someone. Yay, thank you. All right, there's a couple. So sometimes I just sit in here doing my lives talking to myself. And I did a whole live when we first began and ended up talking to myself because they had to close the live down. And so I was just checking today to make sure things are going okay. So that's how you add in that part of it. Now you could make this, you know, be on the inside more if I wanted to. I could make my inset, let's make it go inside more, something like that. Or if I wanted to, you know, I could draw a line inside and put my decorative stitch inside as well. So let's put that back. Let's do an undo. There we go. So it doesn't look great in here, but you can undo it so it's more there and maybe a little less off. But you're the designer. You could even put it before the applique. So I'll just move it up and see. Let's see while we look here. And it'll stick out behind your applique. Sometimes that looks great. All right, so you just have to know where to stick that in when you're stitching, where that's going to go in there. All right, now the last one, and I'm going to close this one here. We don't need to save it. My last one, let's get a new page, was from a font that I downloaded, and it's a true type font. So it's under my TT font, so it's going to be down this way. It's called Lovely Valentine. And I got it off a site called dafont.com. Now, when you go there, let's see, there it is. When you go there, there's lots of fonts and you can download them, and then you have to install them into your fonts on your computer. They don't load into Artistic Digitizer. Okay, they load into your font book if you're on a Mac, or into your fonts if you're on a PC. And there's a way when you download it and you go to open it, you can right click on it and it tells you to install it. You can install it into your fonts. It's very easy. We've done a few videos on that over on the Janome Artistic Digitizer page. So here's Lovely Valentine. And I'm going to I'm just going to put the F in first by itself. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to type the UN down here because I want it separated. And for me, it's easier to do it this way. You can I can make this F really big. So let me just drag it up really big. And I'll move the little un down here. All right, so let's get in close. This really isn't that wide. All right, let's measure that. I love this measure tool. So from here to here, you know, we're looking at a little over 1/4 inch. It's not that wide. So if you wanted to increase the size of that, let's undo the outline, so we don't need that outline. But if I wanted to increase that, I could do a couple things. One of the things I did earlier, and I kind of like this, I took this and I duplicated it, and then I just slid it off to the side like this. I just figured out, let's see, I think I want it like right there. And then I selected all of it. And then I went to shaping and weld. So now it's a bit fatter. But then I thought, well, it really could be fatter up in here. And there's other ways to change that. So let me bring it in close so you can see what I'm going to do. I'm going to select it and I'm going to go to edit nodes. Now your edit nodes changes the shape of your design. That's where you do your shaping rather than edit stitches. So I can grab these and let me get in closer, and then I could pull them out just a little bit like that. So maybe I want to grab these ones and I could pull them out. You could pull them out individually and I could slide them up like that. So I can make this area a little bit bigger like that. There we go. And then this area, if this is funky in here, I could just move these over and fix those as well. So you can go around, especially here. Let me click off of this. Because I put two together, I have these little dips here. Now, I don't mind them. I think they look cool. But if you didn't like that dip, while it's selected, you can come in here. And of course, you can delete some of these. Oops, hang on. Bring them out. You can play with these arrows as well. These arrows move things around as well. So you can even that out if that's what you want to do. And then let's see what else we have here. There's another spot over here. So this part of my heart, I wanted to make bigger. Now, one of the things with this heart, let me get it up here. I can't really go out here because it's going to get too close. So I might want to make my changes in here. So I can kind of grab these like this. I don't want that top one. You can also grab by selecting, hit shift. Oh, that selected all of them. There we go. Select one, then hit shift and select the others as you go. Let's get in there. There we go. And this one. All right, then once you have them selected, you can pull them down in here kind of like that. And that makes it fatter. And then you could go in and fix this. So you are in charge of that shape. So even though it came in a certain way, you could definitely make this fatter. Once you have it where you want it, what you can do is I'm going to delete that other line. Under fill, I'm going to go to applique. And let's make that a different color because it's easier to see this sometimes. There we go, in a different color. And there's our applique. So while I'm taking a slight break, does anybody have any quick questions on turning your letters into applique? Let's go look for another one. I'll make a new page here. And we can experiment. I don't know if anybody has a favorite font under the either your true types, like this marker felt, this would be a downloadable font that I had. This might be a nice one too. I can type up here. Let me put a J for Janome. Let's see what that looks like. I'm going to make it really big. So this is a pretty straightforward font. I like that. That would make a nice applique like that. Let's look at it up close. Let's delete this outline. Let's make it green. Oops, wrong side. This side, sorry. Once you pick it in your properties, you want to decide what you want as your outline. Do you want a satin outside? You want the E-stitch? Or now if you pick E-stitch and you go to outline, you could come in here and pick one of those, and you could do a fancy outline. I like this font. Okay, let's try one more. I'm going to go down here to my text, and we'll do another letter, but let's look here for something that's normal that we use. Let me go up here. I think, so some of these are going to be a little thin. I think if you have your favorite, like, you know, Comic Sans, a lot of people like Comic Sans, but when you go to use this, let's see, let's back that one out. There we go. This one might not be too bad. That's why I say you always have to sample. It's not too bad in the skinny department, and this one would be easy to adjust if you wanted to make this one wider, you know, changing around the outside here with your nodes. You could, now, because I haven't done anything with this, as far as break apart or convert to curves, I'm only going to get the node that's right here. So to edit this further, let's select it. Up here, I need to go to convert and convert to curves. Now before, when I did break apart, that will do it as well. So here we go, edit nodes, and I can come in here, and maybe I want to grab this top one, these ones here like this, and then I could just drag them down like that and make it wider. Maybe at the top, I could just grab these and bring them up. There we go. You know, in that rate, I could make my own type of font from this. Honestly, you can manipulate them so much that, you know, you could make it look like a little mushroom top if you want a mushroom. Maybe you want a mushroom text. So that's what I would do, is I would definitely go through your different fonts. Let's see what happens when I come down here. Let's go this way. What's down this way? Ooh, Rockwell. So there we go. We could use Rockwell. If I click in there again, I can just scroll through them like this, stopping at the ones. That's not bad. Some of these are skinny. Oh, this is a nice one. This is a little skinny. I would probably make this a bit fatter. If I do my value, sometimes value, no, that's only going to work with the other part. So you can play around with picking different fonts that you see. Some are not so nice, depending on what they, you know, how they're put together. Interesting. That's it. I don't know what that would mean if I put, it means a J, but some of these are interesting fonts, and I think I just had some, I have this love, these are love dings in there. I know, Miriam, that's why I said that. Okay, so let's try that. Miriam wants a mushroom font. So let's go here. You know, the top of this does look a bit, do you think it looks like a mushroom, Miriam? Let me get my edit nodes going. And I'm going to pull these ones up just a little bit. Maybe this one, click off of there. It's a little bumpy on the outside. Yeah, I think I would smooth that out. Let me get in close, because when I'm in close, I love to be in close. And let's see if I change that to a smooth node. And let's see what, actually an auto smooth. Let me go auto smooth. There we go. If I change some of these to auto smooth, they'll be, there we go. And I'm just right clicking on them and clicking auto smooth. Let's take this one. Let's delete this one and this one. Oh boy. Now that's looking pretty good. Let's go back out. Yeah. And then I could, you know, move, depending on how you like your mushroom. I know Miriam is thinking of things right now that she's going to do. Well, we have to be careful because some things look like mushrooms and sometimes they don't. So let's look at this. So you could really play with your fonts, changing them into different things. Let's go back to our heart. And I'm going to have to experiment with the whole mushroom font thing. Let's go here. Here we go. Back into here. So play around with your different fonts. Let me go back to my full one right here, my So Much Fun, and I will back out of here. My intent is to stitch this out all as, oh, did I show you the UN part? I did not, probably. Let me go back because I put it down here. So here's the UN. Let me make that big because this is going to confuse. This happens even with when you're using this font. Because it's a cursive font, these two pieces are sort of together, you know, and if I do this, so I could use this little piece and move it aside, and now I have two separate letters. Okay, so always remember that these move the letters around, so I have two separate letters. But if I wanted to combine them more into a cursive word, I would select them. I would need to right-click, break apart, and then I could do shaping and weld. And now they would be like one whole piece. So if you're going to do an applique, you might want this all as one piece and not as separate pieces. Okay. All right, let me put the camera back on and see if you guys have any more questions for me. I'm actually don't have a whole lot, you know, usually I talk for hours, and so today a little bit shorter. I was going to go to the machine I don't have my camera set up for that, but on my, when you go to your machine, when you have an applique in there, and you can see it a little bit from back here, when you have an applique in there, go to the flower, so it'll show you different parts of your applique, and as you go through, it will, it stops at each level. So you'll have a placement line, you'll have a tack down line, and you'll have your finishing stitch. Now, I want to go back really quick because there's one thing I forgot to show you guys in the software. When you have your applique chosen, I talked about these, but I always forget about this because I always have mine during embroidery. What this means is mine's going to stitch a placement line, and then I'll lay my larger fabric down, it'll tack it down, and then it'll stop and give me an opportunity to trim my fabric. So I have these other choices. I may have pre-cut my pieces here, and maybe I used my cutter, a digital cutter, and I pre-cut them so I could use the pre-cut in here. Or I would do it after embroidery. After embroidery is a little trickier because it's done after all the stitching is done. So you do want to, you know, factor that in. I've done I do like the E-stitch, but sometimes the outside edge isn't quite what I want it to be. So if you can put a second outline. I'm going to just click right here. Oh, wait a minute. Let's undo that. Let me do auto bordered. I think that's easier. So we'll go up here and do auto border. We're just going to do one time around running, and I'm going to change the color of that so we can see it. I'll make it this yellow color. So I'm going to scroll in close. So now you can see this yellow color is going to stitch after the red. You can offset that just slightly to the outside. Let me see if I can pull it off. Wrong way. So you can adjust this by the numbers and get it to sit just outside so you can see your stitch, and then that makes the edge of your design have a thicker, more complete finished edge. And of course, when you have that selected, you can change it to be a double or a triple, or you can add a stitch to it. Now that one doesn't look good with it, but you can add another stitch to your applique. But sometimes when I do applique to make it look sort of more old-fashioned, I will add an extra outline in a double or a triple, so it makes that a little bit firmer. Instead of doing a second pass of this, I don't always want a second pass of my of these parts. I do want the outside though, if that makes any sense. Hopefully it does. All right, so let me go back here and see if there's any questions. So Janie, I know that's the great way to do it, is to cut your pieces in your cutter ahead of time. And you can, when you do the cut in place, it'll give you a cut line. So if you had that selected in your piece, I'm looking really quick for you guys, and then I will So you can turn on your cut technique, and you'll have that outline to use for your fabric. So it's really easy to get your cut shapes as well. So you can do it all in one. You don't have to cut in place. If you're not a good cutter, I'm not a good cutter sometimes. I'm better using the digital cutter, and it's great. I use my Terrio Magic to make my fabric really stiff. You can add a fusible on there if you want and cut all of that. Or sometimes I use I cut my pieces using the Terrio Magic to make it stiff, or best press or starch. And then I'll put a little bit of either a glue stick or a little school glue, just a couple dots inside, lay my fabric in to hold it in place. That way I don't have to iron one more time, and that will hold it for me. School glue will wash out later, so you don't have to worry about that as much. I did see an instructor once doing applique with like rubber cement, which I thought was, how that was kind of, it's stretchy kind of thing. And she said she does all her turned under applique with rubber cement. And I'm like, I don't know how that would be years and years down the line. To me, whenever you find that on paper, it's always crinkly and peely, and I don't know if that would work well in my fabrics. But school glue washes out. It's a water soluble one, so I think that it really is fine. Oh, did you? I don't know, Janie, were you on my live yesterday? She's mentioning my jacket. Yesterday, I had Dot come and watch the live because I wanted to show her. I made this jacket. It's actually like a sweater. It's short. It's a little bolero style, and it's perfect. I haven't made something like this in a long time. All done with the serger, very easy. I did, the self applique, and it's sort of my favorite thing to wear in my studio now. So, all right, everybody, I think I'm going to let you go. I want to see your created letters. So as you make your applique letters, head over to the Janome Artistic Digitizer page, post them there. If any of you are new users, there's a great place to learn a lot more about your software. And if you're had the trial and you've got your new software, if you need help getting that all taken care of, remember, you only have to close the software, open your software key, and put in your new numbers, and then activate, and you're all set to go. Ooh, very easy. All right, everyone, have a great day. Have a wonderful, this is my weekend starting, so have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week. May the 4th be with you.